Hi there, thanks for joining us for today's video. Please make sure that you click subscribe to keep up to date with all of our content. This will include short how-to videos, webinars and demonstrations of all of our products. Check out the links in the description below to check out any content related to today's video, and we hope that you enjoy it. Today, the focus is going to be around some of the kind of additional tools that Snap Core First has got, and kind of beyond some of the language that we've already looked at over the last few weeks. So my name's Alice Langley. I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Tobii Dynavox UK, and I'm going to be running today's session. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was taking a look at the Google Assistant within Snap Core First. So this is a really invaluable tool, really, that we've been using for a while within Snap. So we've had ready-made pages that has allowed you to use your device to speak with maybe an existing Google Nest or even something like an Alexa. But a few months ago, made a really exciting announcement that actually we've integrated the Google Assistant into Snap Core First. So what this means is that you no longer need any kind of external device, that actually is integrated within the software itself. And all you need is a Google account and your device or your computer. You don't need an additional speaker, although that can be useful for some additional kind of tools, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it also means that as long as you've got an internet connection, you can use it wherever you are. So in the home, in the classroom, out and about. So it really gives us access to that Google Assistant wherever we are, whenever we need it. So let's take a little bit of a look at what we can do with the Google Assistant. So it's a support tool that allows us to do lots of different activities. So we can do things like get answers. So we might have questions that we want to ask it about everyday events and facts. Or even maybe we want to know what time the next bus is into town, so we can use it for that. And of course, because it knows our location, it will tell us exactly the information that we need. We can also use it for entertainment. So there's lots of activities to do with Google Assistant, such as playing games, or we can even listen to music. We can also control our environment, which is a really exciting kind of element to it. So we can do things like turn on our fan, dim our lights, even control our coffee machine if we've got such a fancy coffee machine. We can also do things like manage tasks, so we can set reminders, such as when we need to take our medication, or adding things to a shopping list, or reminding us to get ready to go to school, or that we've got a Zoom class maybe after school. And we can also do things like plan our time. So we can schedule appointments. Maybe we've got, now that we're allowed out, maybe we've got more kind of activities coming up with our friends. We can plan those in there as well. So the exciting thing is, because it's actually, the Google Assistant is now actually integrated within Snap Core First itself, it means that we no longer have to rely on any of these kind of external speakers or hubs. We can actually just use our Snap app along with a free Google account. So it now means that we can actually access it from our communication device wherever we are. And all that we need to do is to link our Snap to a Google account, and it will then allow us to access that integrated Google Assistant. We can also do things like add additional hardware. So we can do things like use a Google Mini Nest if you want to play music, or maybe other environmental control hardware, such as things like light bulbs, smart plugs, that kind of thing. And that will allow us to do things like control our environment furthermore as well. So it's really allowing us with kind of quite a low cost to be able to do things like control our environment in a little bit more of an accessible way. So, it is making our environment a little bit more accessible at a relatively low cost. I know that the smart plugs you can get for fairly cheap, I think around £20 on Amazon, and that you can then plug anything into, really, and then it means that you can have control to that as well. So what we've done is we've created some ready-made page sets for Google Assistant. So we've looked at some of the main kind of features that Google Assistant provides, and we've created specific page sets for each of those. So it allows us to access the main features that are within there. So things like asking for information, the time, the weather, fun stuff like playing games, asking for jokes, playing music, calling, that kind of thing. So we can really do everything that we want to with the Google Assistant. And as I say, we've got those pre-made page sets that are into your Snap Call First app as soon as you purchase it. We've also got the Google Assistant built into not only the Snap Call First page set, but the text page set as well. So maybe we've got older children or adults that are maybe literate and are using the text page set. They can also have access to the Google Assistant page set too. So as I say, all we need to do is link our account to a Google account. So what we do is we go into the edit button within Snap and we go to the user tab, as you can see here. And if you scroll down a little bit, there'll be a tab that says Google account. And what you can do is you can click connect there. What it is going to do is it's going to take you out of Snap Call First into a web page where we do need to do things like agree to permissions through Google. This is something that is necessary, but you only need to do once. So you only need to do it at the point of signing in, and then Snap will keep you signed into your Google account and then thereafter. So it's not something that you have to do regularly. It should be just once you set up, you go ahead, connect to that Google account. It literally takes a couple of minutes, allow access, and then you can come back into Snap and you'll have access to that. So on the kind of Google Assistant homepage, and you'll notice there's a little icon guide. What this is going to tell you is it's going to tell you if you need any kind of additional hardware for some of the functions. So as I mentioned, there's some things that you don't need anything for. So things like, asking information, and those will be depicted by this little Google symbol here. But if it's something like environmental controls or maybe playing music, you will need kind of external hardware. So whether it's a Google Nest Mini or an enabled speaker, or if it's something like a spark plug. But you'll notice on each of the icons, on each of the buttons in the main menu, it'll have one of these icons on, so it will tell you what you need if you need anything additional other than just your free account. So once you go into the page set and you maybe choose something, so we've got the Google Assistant information page opened here. There's a couple of different kind of things to make note of. So up here at the top, it will tell you which page you're on, so it'll keep you kind of orientated to where you are. We've got this copy to button, which allows you to easily add content onto this page. So you can actually customize this and add some of your own commands in there. And you can actually use your Snap Call First to create that. So I can create a command up in my message window, copy to, and create my own command button down here. We've got this be quiet button down here at the bottom, which will basically stop Google from talking. So if Google goes on to a rant and you don't want to listen to it anymore, that will basically ask it to stop. Next one. And then right down at the bottom, there'll be a little reminder as to if you need anything in addition. So here it says you don't need any device required. All you need is to be logged into your Google account. Then you've got plenty of space to create some of your own buttons. So whether you want to put some of your own questions or comments in there or commands for Google. And then, as always, we've pre-populated some of these as well. So you've got some ready-made content in there to begin with. So you don't necessarily need to do lots of kind of adding and personalizing to begin with. There will be some nice kind of starters to get you going. So what can the Google Assistant kind of do? How can that kind of support us and our learners? So it can really help with kind of supporting independence. So because all of the commands are sent through the device, the user has independent control. So regardless of their access method, whether they're using touch, switch, or eye gaze, they can access that Google Assistant independently. It can help support life skills, whether it's things like checking the weather because we're going out, or checking what time the next bus or train is into town, maybe finding a local restaurant or cinema that is wheelchair accessible, maybe even ordering a takeaway. So really kind of thinking outside of the box of different ways that we can use this. Provides us really easy access to information. So whether we want to check a fact to win an argument when we're in a conversation, maybe get some help with our homework, or maybe do some research on a travel destination, let's say, you've got access to all of this information simply through your Snap app. It can also open up opportunities to develop some language skills, so practicing writing by creating some commands of our own, or even things like participating in classroom routines. It allows us to be included. So it could be things like, being able to sing bedtime stories or playing a quiz as a family. All of these kind of options are available through Google Assistant and help us to access kind of mainstream products just as everybody else can. And it may be helping us to maintain our role within our family or our workplace, or our classroom, for example. So if we're a joker and we like to tell stories, we can use the tools and the activities that are available within Snap and Google Assistant to help us do that. So that's a really quick kind of whistle-stop tour of Google Assistant. If you'd like to find out more about it and maybe discuss it in more detail and have a little bit more of a demonstration, then please do let us know. I'll give you some details at the end for you to get in touch with your local account manager. So the next thing that I want to talk about that is also available through Snap is the Boardmaker Student Centre. So some of you may be already familiar with the Boardmaker Student Centre. This allows us to play and use activities that have been created through Boardmaker 7. So some of you may already have a Boardmaker account and be used to using the Boardmaker Student Centre. Previously, what we used to do was you could switch between Snap and the Student Centre, but what we've actually done now is, again, integrated it within Snap. So you don't have to leave Snap to go into the Boardmaker Student Centre, it will be integrated within. So I'm just going to show you how to find that and show you a couple of ways that you can use it, even if you don't have access to Boardmaker. There's lots of free resources available within the Boardmaker Student Centre. So within Snap, you're going to go to Dashboard, and then you'll see there's a button for the Boardmaker activity. So it's just above the Google Assistant. So Dashboard, and then you've got Activities, Boardmaker here, just above the Google Assistant button. And then once you open that up, you will get a bunch of different options. So all of these kind of white folders here are available to everybody, so regardless of whether you've got a Boardmaker account or not. And so we've got things like access to calendars, so we can put in our weekly schedule. There's some really nice simple games and maths tools, including things like a dice and a spinner. And then we've got some samples to a couple of our curriculum. So we've got Core First Learning, and there's a free sample there. So Core First Learning looks at teaching our learners to find, use, and read core words. And then we've got a sample for Reading Avenue, which is a comprehensive reading instruction. So anybody can access those. And then we've also got, I think this is my favourite bit of the Student Centre, is this bookshelf. And so in here, you've got a free sample of a whole bunch of different books that are actually come from some of our different curriculum. And these are free for anybody to access, and again, accessible via any access method. These will allow our reader to independently go in, maybe read the book or participate in some shared reading, and they can actually switch in and out between the book and maybe some of their communication tools so that they can talk and comment about that as well. And then for those that do have access to a Boardmaker account, you can do things like link in some of your personalised activities for some of your students. So maybe you've made something specific for that student to do with the curriculum at school, or maybe something like a visual schedule, and you can place that straight into the Boardmaker Student Centre within Snap, and they can access that anytime that they need it throughout the day. So again, a whistle-stop tour of the Boardmaker Student Centre, lots to have a look there. So I would really recommend going to have a little bit of a nosy around and kind of familiarise yourself with what's available in there. And again, if you've got any questions, please do get in touch with us. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the Access IT. So this is a really cool little gadget that we've had for a while now within Snap Core First. And essentially, it's this little USB dongle here. And what you can do is you can basically plug it into any computer or laptop. And then through using Snap Core First, that user can now have control of that computer. So they can do things like send mouse and keyboard instructions to the computer to control that. So there are a couple of kind of different uses of that. And I'll kind of talk through that in a second. But this dongle is available on our website. It's £75. And basically what it does is it allows our Snap user to control any device. And it does this wirelessly through Bluetooth. And basically, Snap Core First will send keystrokes and mouse moves to another device. And again, can be used with any access method. So let's say we are in a classroom and we have a user using eye gaze, and the teacher has something up on the whiteboard, the interactive whiteboard that we want our students to be able to access. We can plug in the USB straight into that computer that's accessing the whiteboard, and now straight away that student has access to that interactive whiteboard. And what's great about it is it doesn't involve any kind of installing or anything like that. It's just plug in and go. So really, really simple. So again, we've created some ready-made page sets for that. So we've got things like page sets for YouTube, different Windows applications, Facebook, WhatsApp, web browsers, Word documents, email. And again, you know, you can create some of your own, but these are some kind of examples of different ways that you can use it. And as you can see from some of the other screenshots, it basically gives you instructions or actions that you can do. So you can move the mouse around, single click, double click, access to a keyboard. So it's really allowing our Snap users to access the computer that's in front of them. So I just very quickly, because it's quite difficult to explain this without showing you, so I've just got a little video that one of my colleagues prepared. And on the right-hand side, you can see his Snap page, and on the left-hand side, you can see his computer. So he's gone into the Access IT page. He's opening up Word, so he's clicking on Launch. And you can see now the computer is now going to receive a command to do that. So it's connected to the Access IT, sent a command, and now Word's going to open up. So now we're going to go into this page. My colleague is now using the mouse to move the mouse. So you can see it's very small, but across the top, they're using continuous mode to get the mouse to move across. And then when they stop that mouse, they can do things like small jump, medium jump to get the mouse exactly where they need to. And they can then select all the functions. So he's now going into a little small jump. I think he wants to maximize that button. So he's just moving the mouse down a little bit, and then he's going to click. And then he's going to go back and he's going to type. So now, as you can see, he's using his core word keyboard that he's really familiar with because he uses that for communication. And he's using that to create a sentence. And then he's going to go up to the share button, and then it gives an option just to send it to the Access IT, which is essentially going to send it to the computer. And now that's going to type that into his Word document. So you can see how that can really kind of open up some opportunities for our learners, whether it's students, whether it's people at work. They can use the software that they're already familiar with to then access computers where they may not have been able to before. So that's going to let me skip. There we go. So as I said, really huge amount of opportunities here. So again, we're looking at any access method. So anybody that's already using their device via eye gaze or switch or touch can use Access IT. So it can be maybe to use a computer in a classroom or in a workplace, something like accessing a whiteboard. But what we can also do is things like maybe being able to access use iPads. So let's say that we've got a device that doesn't have any kind of environmental controls built into it, but maybe we want to control our smart TV or an Xbox. Well, we can actually, using some adapters, we can plug our Access IT into, let's say, the smart TV or the Xbox, and then we can use our Snap Call First ready set pages to control that. So again, thinking about you know, teenagers or children that want to watch Netflix, let's say, and rather than relying on a parent to control that, maybe they want to have access to that themselves. And this really opens up that opportunity for them. Likewise, if we maybe want to access a mobile phone, we can do the same thing. So again, we're going to be using our Access IT to access our phone. Next is just talking very quickly about using some of the environmental controls that are available in Snap. So some of our devices, so things like the i110, the iMobile Plus and the iSeries all have built-in environmental controls to them, which means we can, even without, let's say, the Google Assistant, access things like our TV or our lights. And so again, within Snap Call First, under that dashboard button, you'll see there is a button for remotes. And again, we've pre-programmed loads and loads of buttons in there that will allow us to access some different TVs. But what we can also do is actually add some of our own. So if we want to add commands to something specific that isn't already programmed into Snap, there's some really straightforward instructions on the screen that will show you how to do that. So essentially, you create a button for, let's say, your smart TV, you add an action to it, and it'll ask you to set up with the remote, press the button, and your device will record that signal, and then that will be recorded onto the button, which will then allow you to access that via your system. So here. And then the very last thing I want to talk about, and I think I've spoken about it in previous sessions, but I always want to kind of reiterate it, is that page printing is available within Snap Call First as well. So we all know the importance of having a low-tech backup or alternative to our high-tech systems. And so it's really important that it's, you know, as identical as possible to our high-tech system. So what we can actually do within Snap Call First is directly print from our system. So we know that we all have personalized pages. So what we do is we go into the edit mode. And then under the page, you'll notice there's a little printer symbol. It's then going to open up this page select kind of tool where you can select the pages that you want to print off. And it may be that you want to print off all of them, but generally it will probably be things like core words, quick fires, topics. And then you can go ahead and select some of your printing options. So you can do things like take the message bar off, you can toggle the toolbar on and off, basically kind of decide how you want your pages to look when they're printed, and then you can go ahead and print them. So a really nice simple way of creating a low-tech backup of your high-tech system within Snap Call First.